September 25th, 2024. It's 6:30 p.m. We are in the Early Childhood Center in Palisades Park. Flag salute will be led by Mr. Anthony Kim.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Kondowski, please roll call.
Ms. Sue Chung,
Present.
Mr. Charlie Shin,
Present.
Ms. Rebecca Lee,
Here.
Ms. Suk Young Park,
Here.
Mr. Aaron Pack, Mr. William Kim,
Here.
Mr. Anthony Kim,
Here.
Ms. Bo Young Yu,
Here.
Ms. Yoon Min, Dr. Sorolla,
Here.
Bush Law Group.
Here.
Thank you.
In compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, I hereby state the notice of this special meeting has been provided to the public by the written notice dated September 18, 2024. The meeting notice has been emailed to all staff members at the district city school locations, communicated at least one of the board's designated newspapers, filed with the board clerk of Palisades. Now, we will start with the working session, and the formal action will be taken followed by the regular session. So we have separated two meeting minutes. One is regular session meetings, and the others are executive session minutes. So we had actual last minute changes regarding the executive session minute on April 17th. I wonder if all board members were notified and aware of our last minute email. But if not, you could recuse. So do you have any discussion or questions regarding on both minutes, number 1 and 2? Number 1 is the special business meeting during the summer, dated on July 29th, August 28th, and September 12th. And our executive session minute we approved last month, but there's one item was tabled, dated on April 17th, and that was updated today.
Do we approve the minute in the work session?
Nope.
Yeah.
But do you have any questions and regarding on this
Yeah,
minute?
there is something I want to mention about the minute of the September 12th. Should I discuss now
Sure,
or in
yeah,
the
yeah,
regular
please.
session?
Mr. Shin, yes. September 12th, that was a special meeting for long-term facility plan,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And at the minute, the last phrase is, okay, if there is any case such as this, I would like to discuss it in advance, because we had to pass this proposals or whatever, this plan, like just 1 day before the deadline. So we didn't have time to discuss, and we didn't have other choice than the passing these plans. Otherwise, we didn't get like $2 million from the state, okay? So I pointed out that we had enough times in advance, because the land associates suggested this in the May, okay? But the last part is, as soon as I was informed by the state of New Jersey, I called for the special meeting to take place. This sounds like we didn't have any, the state of New Jersey advised like at the last minute, but we knew about this in May. So I want to delete this last phrase, which is as soon as I was informed by state of New Jersey, we called for the special meeting to take place. I'd like to delete this phrase. I suggest.
So Mr. Kondowski, so did you get that, or do you?
Do you understand the point?
Yes.
The last sentence in my response. Mr. Shin, just for clarification for the other board members, I know it was a special meeting and not everyone could be there. We had full intention of passing the LRFP tonight.
Yeah.
when the state notified me that it must be done by Friday. Clearly, Friday was not gonna happen before tonight, so therefore the need for the special meeting.
Yeah, I knew, but because, okay, we knew in May, okay, non-associate pointed out that we have to submit the long-term plan this year.
Correct.
Otherwise, we didn't get the fund from state of New Jersey.
That's not true. There's nothing that was tied to funding until I received the phone call. There's no guarantee we're gonna get the funding.
Yeah, no, I mean, the submitting of the plan, I'm
That
not
is correct.
getting the money itself, okay?
So your point is that the long-term facility plan should have been shared with the board members earlier, right? When it
Yeah,
came
that's
out
what I
in
wanted,
May.
yes.
Okay.
And we had to test this long-term plan, okay, just 1 day before of the deadline, which the state of New Jersey gave us. So, this kind of long-term plan should be submitted or should be offered to us, like with the enough time to review it. That is my, the suggestion, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shin. Is there any question regarding those minutes? So let's move on to finance. There are 17 consent agenda on the finance agenda resolutions. Mr. Shin, would you address 17 agendas?
Finance, we have the 17 resolutions to discuss today. Okay, the items is one, food service voucher, and two, secretaries and treasurer's financial report, and three, ratification of board secretaries' monthly decertification, budgetary line item states. Four, the approval of payroll. Five, approval of the bill list of the September. And six, transfers of fund. And seven, student activity accounts. Eight, budget calendar for 2025 to 26 school year. And nine, STEM member visitations and workshops. 10, tuition reimbursement. And 11, Flipside Park Board of Education agreement for 24-25 school year. And 12, therapy source agreement renewal. And 13 is interstate tax service inc. agreement. And 14 is Harley Name primary care agreement. And 15 is School Alliance Insurance Fund Commissioner. 16 non-resident tuition agreement. 17 out of district contracts for 24-25 school year. And this one.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions, any discussions regarding this consent 17 agendas in finance?
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Lee?
Number 16, is that pertaining to one student?
That is correct. This is a former resident who no longer lives in Palisades Park. The student is in exceptional standing. I believe he is currently in 4 AP classes. I would like to finish his studies and graduate with the senior class. As per our policy, he is a non-resident, so in order to stay, he would have to pay tuition.
And also for number 17, the Fort Lee School, is that for special education purposes or?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
How was the tuition determined, the amount?
So the Department of Education issues every spring for the following year, the amount to be allocated per student in each. I think they break it up between grades preschool and second grade or third grade, I'm not sure, I can follow up with that. Then they have an elementary cost and a high school cost. If the student is receiving special education services, the rate increases, but that rate is determined by the Department of Education.
And what was the tuition reimbursement? It usually says an amount, but these don't say amounts.
Yeah, so we don't know the amount. This is just the approval for the courses to be taken. The amount is determined usually in June. When we know the amount of teachers that take courses, there's X amount of dollars in the contract that is divvied up amongst everyone who is approved. Based on the Rutgers University, per credit rate, up to 9 credits per student, or excuse me, per faculty member.
So the maximum amount is that Rutgers per credit rate times the number of credits that they take, and then they complete the course and qualify for it. And there's enough money to pay the full amount, then they will get that full amount. But if there's not enough money to reimburse everyone the full amount, then it gets prorated.
Any other questions? No more? So next, let's move on to building and ground. Mr. Redekali. There's 3 consent agenda on the building and ground. Could you address this?
There's, 3 consent agendas. The number 1 is the fall sports camp that's run by the recreation department, I believe.
That I was going to ask, is that from recreation center?
That is not through
Recreation.
recreation.
No. Right, okay. Then
So,
it's from
can-
school? And this is during the
This is during the teacher
teachers'
convention.
convention?
That is correct.
Okay,
This is only for Palisades Park students.
I see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Number 2 is the car wash for senior class. 3 is the PTA, monthly meeting from October to June.
So number 2, car wash is already done, as we had to reschedule our meeting to, we pushed the meeting 1 week, to this week, so how
We
did
wanted
that
to
go?
memorialize it. We wanted to just make sure that the
Okay.
submission was sent to us. We did not
Right.
want to punish the senior class. Obviously, it was not their doing to reschedule our meeting.
Right.
So I believe the weather was beautiful on Saturday, and hopefully the funds came in.
Um, So do you have questions? Under this building and ground 3 consent agendas? What, Ms. Lee?
Nothing.
Any other questions? Next the personnel, we have 17 consent agendas. Chairman, personnel chairperson, Mr. Shin.
Yes, first, we have 17 items to discuss. First, request for leave of 2 teachers, and second, summer school personnel, the appointment, and 3, volunteer coach for cross country, and 4, co-curricular position, and 5, extra class stipend and leave vacancies, and 6, resignation of the 3 staff, and 7, salary accounts to preschool education aid grant from state, and 8, retirement, and 9, mentorship program, 10, Title I lead counselor, 11, option to after school program, and 12, Tiger team member program, 13, community outreach and translation support, 14, breakfast club program, and 15, weight room supervisor, 16, intervention and referral services, and 17, appointment of staff. Yes, 7 items we have.
17.
17.
Before there's any questions, I just want to make one edit on number 12. That is not just at the junior, senior high school, that should also reflect Lindbergh Elementary School as well. So junior, senior, and Lindbergh will have the Tiger team this year.
Can you elaborate on what the Tiger team is?
Sure. So it's a program that was started at the high school last year. There's a lot of character building. There's a lot of school spirit initiatives to improve the overall, participation of different programs for our student body, but also just to improve the morale and to get more ideas from various sources.
Any discussions, questions on their personnel agendas?
And Dr. Sorla, can you explain the mentorship program?
We actually shared the.
Yes, number 9.
Right?
Yes.
Yep, so the mentorship program is something that, when we were targeted with the unfortunate distinction of being a targeted school at the junior, senior high school, we really wanted to streamline the process of keeping closer tabs on many of our students to ensure that they were not just in line with graduation progress, but also as needed periodic check-ins with teachers. As we know, a lot of our students really rely on the faculty and staff for much more than what goes on during the 55-minute period. So this is a resource that certain number of students are allotted to certain faculty members beyond the contractual obligations.
Now, number 14, the use of transportation of the Palisades Park borough, the students using.
Hold on, I'm sorry, what are you,
Okay, number 11, sorry.
11, Flipside Park. Are you on personnel?
Oh, sorry. Yes. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
It's okay. Is there a question regarding finance?
It's okay, yeah.
Okay.
So, always the grant money is confused me, so like the number 10 is
Sure.
grant. It's paid by Title I fund.
Yes.
Number 12 paid by Title II. Number 14, 15 just paid from our general fund, right?
I could pretty much tell you that 95% of our after-school programs are all written into our grants. They are all paid for by grants. 15 is not a grant, 14 is not a grant. But yes, numbers 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 are all written into our grants and are all paid by grant money.
Any other questions, discussion? Any personnel? Next, curriculum. There are 2 consent agenda. Ms. Ho Young-Yoon,
Number 1, PSA testing, delayed opening for grades 7 through 9 and 12. Wait a minute, okay. No,
That's correct.
administered to grades 10th and 11th.
That's correct. So the delayed opening would apply to 7th, 8th, 9th, and 12th grade students.
Do you have the dates?
I believe it's October 24th, but I can double check that.
And number 2, field trips, to Grounds for Sculpture, Orlando, Florida, Shade Performing Arts Center, Demarest Farms, River Cleanup in Oradell, New Jersey, NJIT Engineering Career Day, and Dodge Poetry Festival.
thank you. Any questions? Okay, next negotiations. Mr. William Kim,
Nothing new to report.
thank you. Policy, Ms. Lee is not present today. Let's move on to New Jersey School Board Liaison Alternative, Ms. Soo-Young Park.
I have nothing today.
County School Board Rep and Rep Alternative, Mr. Aaron Park is not here today. So School Safety and Security Committee, Mr. Anthony Kim.
No report.
Alright, so now let's move on to board business. Dr. Zero, do we have businesses that we discuss?
No, when we do go into our regular meeting, I will need to go into closed session to request a conversation on an attorney matter of the past.
Okay, after audience participation, right?
Yeah, no formal action will be taken, so at that point,
Alright.
we can proceed.
Okay. Well, since I was not enough time to discuss with you, well, we discussed it, but we didn't bring it to the agenda today, but I just wanna mention to discuss when board members are here that, I'm just trying to get to clarify our tax money, underpaid tax money from municipality. So we found we found was that the auditor needs to be, in my belief, separate from municipality and the school board. So I'm suggesting to separate auditors all the time by our policy. The school board auditor is not the same same auditor in municipality governments. So I'm going to make a motion later on, but I just want you to know. Or do you want to share all the information prior to those actions? We can move this to next month's agenda as well. I don't know if all board members are aware of, but pretty much I will share it with other board members by sending email and forwarding emails regarding finance committee, negotiation committee. So think about it. So
The auditors are the recommendation of the board, that's a professional service, so I don't know, Aaron, I would defer to the attorney. Is that policy driven? That's just a vote by a board member on who they would select as auditor.
Right.
I don't think it's a bad idea what she's suggesting, to have different auditors for the two entities, but we can't control what a municipal government would to do.
no, we can at least exclude the person who is working in municipal governments. And then we can select, so choose.
I think,
It's regarding underpaid tax money from,
I'm in favor, I'm okay with it, I just don't
2021,
know
so-
the legality.
Yeah.
I think we can put in a board policy, and you probably have to reflect it in, if you did a request for qualifications, which you don't necessarily need to do, but,
It's best practice, I like that we do it.
yeah.
okay. That's just not for now, it's about the payments, underpayments money
Agree.
in 2021 and 2022 school year.
Agree.
It's, and we've been presenting it and addressing it, but we have not heard from that, so. Okay, let's do, one other things, Dr. Cirillo.
Yes.
So we are missing a school student rep today, and can you explain why we
Sure.
don't have one
I think
today?
there could be one in the audience, although she doesn't hear me with her headphones on. But the reality is, our policy, which we are trying to live by, speaks to the school student representative for the board be selected at reorganization. I did share that with you. Although we have not done that in the past, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it right going forward. So again, if we're going to begin that reorganization, as we know, unfortunately, is not until January. I would love nothing more to have a student rep here. The question is, do we continue with the student rep from last year through January until a new rep is selected as per our policy? Or do we go with a calendar year and amend our policy? So that's something for the board to consider. I personally like the idea of having a student rep from September through June.
I agree.
I think it's a school year,
Right.
versus January through December. I don't
Right.
think a student rep should reflect a Board of Education reorganization meeting.
I think so too, and also there's a possibility that if the students were just elected in the school to be the rep is in January, then there's a possibility she could graduate that
He or
year
she
too,
could,
right?
yeah,
So,
which makes no sense to me to have someone new waiting until
Right.
January again.
okay.
I would,
Maybe we can make a vote today.
I'd be more than happy in new business to ask the board for a motion to make it effective the school year and not the not the calendar year.
School
Yes.
year.
Why don't we just, instead of doing a separate election for such a representative, why don't we just go with inviting or making sure somebody from student councils are invited, or?
So if it was that easy, I'm sure we would have done it. Unfortunately, we have a policy and we have to abide by the policy. There is a policy that, guides us on this regulation, otherwise, there'd be a student rep sitting with us tonight. I know someone that volunteers, that wants to be here, and potentially is here, but, sorry.
You could potentially amend your policy.
You wanna make a policy and I'll make a recommendation, she'll be here in about 10 minutes, watch. She's not dressed appropriately.
I do think that we don't need to have separate, that's what I'm saying, like, I don't think we need a separate election. They don't do elections for their representatives, why can't the elected representatives be told or, you know, invited to come and on a special?
Again, we can, we just have to then abolish that policy. Cause I don't need someone to tell me we're not doing what we're supposed to do.
I mean, nothing's unchangeable, really.
I agree. So we're, hopefully the first change is September through June. The second change is, do we keep the policy? And technically, it's the principal's recommendation. It's not even mine, as we talked about in the policy.
Oh, then we definitely like to get rid of it, I'm just kidding.
But if you do the student council, which grades are you allowing? Is it only going to be for the
I mean, why
senior
wouldn't it, I mean,
class?
honestly, if they're like hardworking, they'd wanna come.
Yeah.
We can
Right,
discuss
yeah,
it
I'm
further.
just-
I think there's gonna be a lot of opinions on this. Let's discuss it further, but I think the first thing we should definitely decide tonight is September through June. I think we are all in agreement on that.
Okay. Any other agendas, resolutions in old or new business? Before we move on to the regular session. No discussion?
May I just suggest, given the length of the number of resolutions in today's meeting, that we consent agenda as much as possible with exclusions? You can exclude items that need to be further discussed and consent all others. It would help with time.
Okay, so do you mean that we just separate these agendas that needs to be further discussed?
Right, just pull out the items we need to further discuss and consent all others.
Okay.
We can save time.
So may I have a motion to close the working session and going into the regular session?
I make a motion to close the work session and move into the regular session.
Any second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No abstention and objection? So, okay, board presence report. Everyone, welcome back to school. I hope you had a good summer. And for me, I had a very busy summer. I didn't go anywhere else. I was surprised that the school administrator are even busier during the summer, which was very different knowledge that I had. So thank you for working hard during the summer, Dr. Cirillo, Mr. Kondowski, and me too. So, and I'm glad to see you all back. And hope, also, that's back to school night. I was going to ask you to as well too. That
Yes.
is going to be tomorrow,
Tomorrow is the high school, I believe. We've had the other two buildings already.
right? And then also thank you for all the any staffs, students and parents who participated in town's 125th anniversary events dated on September 14th. And it was great to see the students sing the song, and it's a similar experience that I was in the concert, spring concert in the Ladybug, and it was very happy to see all the children in town. And thank you for your work in there too. And then also there's a pottery making tryouts, and then thank Dr. Cirillo to put out the ads in the school websites and then share the events information with all the parents and students. It was really very successful that in the first 30 minutes, all the spot was rent out, and then they all participate and happy about it too. Okay, next, Dr. Cirillo, do you have a report
Yes, so just a few things. I too would like to welcome everyone back. I hope you and your families had a great summer. I'm actually extremely excited. I think we are on the cusp of doing some extraordinary things this year. I'm already pleased. I'm not going to say it yet. Next month is our test score presentation, but preliminary numbers of graduation rates are extremely encouraging. So again, kudos to everyone involved in that. Nothing is official yet. And many a times, unfortunately, there are edits that get performed last minute, but next month is our test score presentation as we are required to do annually. I really do believe that we are all moving this ship in the same direction. We're pulling the rope at the same side, so hopefully we continue to do that and it will lead to future success for all. A special thank you. We had two groups with so many donations for so many of our children in this community, but two specifically came to me a few weeks ago. It was the United Methodist Church of Leonia and the Rotary Club of the Palisades. So many of our kids, both here at the ECC and at Lindbergh, that are in need of school supplies, backpacks, you name it, were able to receive from anonymous and very generous donors. So publicly, I would like to recognize them and thank them. And I too wish the board a successful school year, as do I do with all teachers, students, and staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Armando, do you have any board attorney report today?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. So meeting approval. So there's two meeting minutes. We're not going to, it's going to be same. So we're just going to separate, because anyway, I have the motion to consent those two since it was not consented. So may I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes, a special business meeting, July 29th, August 28th, September 12th.
And just for the record, the September 12th will reflect the comment by
Right.
Mr. Shin in deleting the last sentence.
In the condition of changing the last sentence of Mr. Shin's part. May I have a motion?
I make motion.
Second?
Second.
Full on?
Yes.
Do we have to roll for it or just all in favor?
You don't need to look.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
No objection? So number two, may I have a motion to approve the executive session minutes that was revised for April 17? I'd like to make a motion to approve April 17 executive session minutes. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. So in finance, we have 17 consent agenda to approve. May I have a motion?
I make motion.
I second. Roll call please.
Ms. Sue Chung,
Yes?
Mr. Anthony Kim,
Yes.
Ms. Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Suk Young Park,
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Shin,
Yes.
Mr. William Kim,
Yes.
Ms. Bo Young Yu.
Aye.
Thank you.
So building and ground, we have 3 consent agenda. May I have a motion? Board members? Mr. Kim, could you make a motion? Okay. Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No objection. So personnel, we have 17 consent agenda for approval. May I have a motion to approve 17 consent agenda under personnel?
Just have a quick question.
Sure.
On personnel, number 6 and 17, Dr. Stulo, would that make it immediate, the change, or is it still November 1st?
What number, I'm sorry, what?
Number 6
Number
and
6?
17. that's the original.
No, because number 17, has to wait until she is released from her district, so I'm going to have to hold that candidate.
Thank you.
No problem.
Did anybody make a motion or not?
Not yet.
Not yet. May I have motion?
I make a motion.
Any second?
I second.
Mrs. Youngba? Mr. Kondowski, roll call please.
Ms. Sue Chung,
Yes?
Mr. Anthony Kim,
Yes.
Ms. Rebecca Lee,
Yes.
Ms. Suk Young Park,
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Shin,
Yes.
Mr. William Kim,
Yes.
Ms. Bo Young Yu.
Aye.
Ms. Chung, before you continue, I would just like to congratulate and formally recognize Ms. Diane Nikoloff. Thank you for your service to our students. Thank you.
Thank you, really, thank you for all
Thank you
your
so
work
much.
for
It's
the
been
long
amazing.
period of time.
Amazing one working here.
You'll be very missed.
Diane, we're not an audience, please relax, relax.
So, we have two consent agenda on the curriculum. We have a motion to approve.
Before we proceed, it is on October 24th, the date for the PSAT.
Thank you.
As you said, right?
Yes.
May I have a motion? I'd like to make a motion to approve curriculum agenda number 1 and 2. Can I have a second?
I second.
Who was
Ms.
first?
Clark.
Ms. Park. All in favor?
Aye.
No objection, abstention. Alright. Next, move on. Today's going really fast, actually. Negotiation, Mr. William Kim.
No report.
Palisades, Ms. Umi is not here, and we don't have actually agenda. So New Jersey School Board Liaison alternate, Ms. Soo-Kyung Park.
Nothing to report.
Okay, so we'll skip County School Board as Mr. Aaron Bag is not here. School Safety and Security Committee, Mr. Anthony Kim.
No report.
Okay, so all the business, as I mentioned earlier in the working session, I'd like to make a motion to separate municipal government auditor with school board auditor. May I
I'll
have a
second that.
second?
Are you gonna, so, you wanna amend the policy regarding professional services?
Yeah.
Should we draft like a actual revision to the policy and then make it go in the new policy?
Yeah.
Alright, that's
I don't know that a policy exists that,
professional services.
but I think it's more a request that
Yeah.
such be considered.
You just add on things.
In political communities, it's going to be hard, but, you know, I'm not saying this is one. I'm just saying.
Well,
My experience is, we can have a policy, but one doesn't exist. So again, I think it's a very good suggestion.
what, if I may, give us an opportunity to kind of try to draft a policy.
Sure,
We'll try
yeah,
to do it
yeah.
unanimously, board
Why don't I
consensus.
call New Jersey school boards and see if such exists, so we can potentially not be charged yet? Sorry,
I
Aaron, tell Jonathan I said that.
I spoke with Mr. Jonathan Bush prior to this meeting last week. His answer is, he haven't seen it, but has no problem to do it, so I proceed to do it.
We can do it, I think,
Right.
we just ought to do it like in terms of actually having a policy that.
Sure. Okay, yep. So is it still okay with that condition to make a motion and approve today, or you want?
I mean, you can do that, but my recommendation is that there be an actual policy that the board be voting that with
Right.
the actual language, so since we don't have that yet, I would wait till we do, but
Oh,
that's, it's, I mean,
yeah, I didn't see the policy either.
Yeah, there's no policy.
Can we just create the policy?
well, I
That's a
guess-
local policy.
Sure, I mean, come on.
Be the trendsetters for once,
Yeah.
that's a good move. I like that.
I mean, yeah, sure, you can move to set, to, I guess, have the board set, enact a new board policy that prohibits the auditor from hiring an auditor that's also doing the municipality's audit.
Okay. So you mean like,
Be adding into the board's bylaws.
so we are actually creating the policy, right? So,
That's,
okay,
because
yeah,
I don't have your policies in front of me, so if
Okay.
there is one on there, I don't know which one it is, I don't know how to, but if you wanna do it right now, I think that's the best I can suggest.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to create our local policy of school, Palisades Park Board of Education, to prohibit municipal government auditor from school auditor. May I have a motion? May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. William Kim? Do we need to do the roll call for this? Yeah, roll call please.
So
Mr. Chung.
if we decide today, okay, so that policy will continue
Yeah,
permanently, right?
right.
Until the new board says they don't want that policy.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry.
So then what's gonna happen with the current auditor? Are you
No,
replacing it or?
we don't have conflict now. Last week we did, last year we did. 2022, 21 we did.
Rebecca, we're dealing with a small, concern internally. And I applaud Ms. Chung, I think this is a very good suggestion, I don't think it's a bad idea. It's just going to be hard to enforce it going forward, but I'm not saying we shouldn't do this. Let's do it, and then let's worry about
Yep,
the next problem when we get there.
Is it common sense that the Board of Education, the auditor should be different from the town's auditor? Is it common sense? Any Board of Education member with common sense would know that, so why do we worry about that?
thank you, Mr. Shin. All right, so, Mr. Kondowski, roll call please.
Ms. Sue Chung.
Yes?
Mr. Anthony Kim. Ms. Rebecca Lee.
Yeah.
Ms. Suk Young Park.
Yes.
Mr. Charlie Shin.
Yes.
Mr. William Kim.
Yes.
Ms. Bo Young Yu.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So there's a new business, the motion.
I would like to make a recommendation that the board consider the student representative, to be reflected from, unfortunately, it's not going to be at the September meeting, but from September through June, and repeat that and amend our existing policy.
I'll make a
And-
motion to reflect Dr. Searle's recommendation.
I second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
All right.
Any objection? No? But by the way, so the motion passed, then, are you going to address this issue to Mr. Garcia?
So I'm going to look more specifically at the policy, which I'm doing as we speak. There is a sentence that speaks to the selected representatives shall be appointed by the junior, senior high school principal. Again, these are already adopted by our board. I can't just arbitrarily change it.
Right?
But what I can tell you is, there are qualifications, there are not many students that probably wanna hang out with us monthly. Some might, and I applaud them for that, but I also know that this is a very, important role, one that can be the voice of our students in our community, not just at the junior, senior high school. So I will speak to Mr. Garcia, I will keep the board updated, and I'm hopeful that we can amend whatever needs to be amended next
Okay.
month, and hopefully have a student sit with us going forward.
Okay. So, after speaking with Mr. Garcia, and please share things with the board members, so we can look up this, well, I looked it up, but we need to share and get their opinions as well too,
Of course.
on board
So-
members.
If this is the case, then why was there an election before? Like, I don't understand how,
I think.
it was an appointment, but then there was an election
Yep,
before,
so
what's-
the election, I think last year was more to gauge interest of students. And you don't wanna appoint someone that doesn't wanna be here. So there was an essay requirement from Mr. Garcia last year. There was actually a survey, I believe, issued through, SurveyMonkey or Google Classroom, one or the other. And we did have data, I did have results that warranted our former student rep, to be with us. So I wanna make sure, and I'll solicit information from other districts. We don't need to, be the first to the race all the time, but let's see what is best practice. Again, we have to ensure that if we're doing something, it's not breaching what's here, but I'm sure we can come to common ground on what is best moving forward.
I mean, if we are picking one representative, I would like the board of, the schools, of the grades, to be invited specifically also.
Repeat that, I'm sorry.
They have each grade has their elected.
Class officers.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's completely different from the student rep to the board. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna send this out. Yeah, I'll send this out to the board members, and then the idea is to have one, it could be multiple student reps, but class officers sometimes, from my experience, could reflect up to 5 to 10 individuals.
Yeah, so they could take turns.
That's something we can discuss further.
Yeah. Let's discuss next month.
Next meeting, or before next meeting, we will have discussion on this, I'm sure.
For board members, be aware, please look up the policy, you can
I'll
just.
share this.
Oh, okay, thank you. So the policy come up by the keyword student rep.
I just did a quick search on student representative
Okay.
for the Board of Education on our website.
Okay. Thank you. Any other agendas you want to be added and discussed in new business? Dr. Shira, are you okay? Move
I
on?
feel wonderful, thank you.
Glad
Thank
to
you.
hear that, thank you. So, may I have a motion to close our regular session and open to the public?
Make the motion.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No objection? Okay. So so the meeting is open to the public, and each speaker has 3 minutes, and please state your name and address.
I'll go.
Mrs. Carney?
Hi, how are you? Corinne Sturdy, I'm the negotiations chair for our association. The board has stated that there is nothing new to report. To be clear, that this is the current status of our negotiations. There has been no progress. We are currently working without a contract. The board's last salary offer was below the county average. The unfair labor practice charges that we, the Palisades Park Education Association, filed last March against the Palisades Park Board of Education is still open. Those charges have not been closed because negotiations have stalled, and the board is still not negotiating in good faith. Ground rules were broken by the Board of Ed, and that was the one reason the ULP was filed. The Palisades Park negotiation team has never broken the ground rules agreed upon by both parties at the first meeting. And once we entered into mediation through the state, those original ground rules no longer applied. The board is trying to rewrite our entire contract with 69-page proposal. No other districts in our area are making any of these demands. This staff deserves a contract immediately. We have committed our careers to Palisades Park, but if this doesn't get settled, many of us will leave to go work at other districts where we will be better paid and respected. There is a mediation meeting scheduled for October 8th, which we are very much looking forward to. It would be nice if the board came with their proposal and not the proposal written by their lawyers, so that we could get work done and get this contract done. As we start this new school year, we want nothing more than to settle a fair and equitable contract. Please.
Thank you. As the Board of President of Board of Education and I actually negotiation team, and we have been working through the summer regarding these negotiations. But most of parts that you stated, I disagree, but I'd like to defer that to our attorney because I don't want to break the ground rule. So.
There were delays at the beginning, in January. Then the board came together and offered meeting dates and proposals. The association, instead of coming to the table and accepting or listening to proposals and having good faith negotiations, decided to engage in gamesmanship by filing unfair practice charges, by declaring impasse before any legitimate negotiations had taken place, and have since refused, during the first mediation, literally refused to have a discussion with us about the board's proposals. Since that time, there has been some productive meetings, especially at the beginning of the summer, but then when the association was asked for additional information, there was dead silence for, I think, like over a month. So we are also very much looking forward to the next mediation, and we are very much eager to get this contract negotiated and to have a new agreement put in place.
Thank you. Any other participant? Miss Peppers?
Mary Papote for Grand Avenue. I have a question for Dr. Cirillo. I know we are in a very situation right now as of statewide for our student. Every day is getting more and more like we don't have a space to put it. I know in the past you submit a referendum that didn't go through because political issue in this town, unfortunately. Have you ever think about to redo it, like a referendum to see if this time that we don't have some of those people who was blocking that in town to submit again and see if it's passed? That's my question for Dr. Cirillo. And I have a comment as a parent, and like the contract with the teacher. I know you guys negotiating, we don't know the whole detail because internal, but for the best of us as a president, as a parent, we need this to get resolved. Because I know it's a lot of lack of teacher why? Like where I work is like, we need like 6 teachers that is empty there. So it's really worrying me that we lost our teacher and we have to be having enough teacher for our kid. And also, you know, it can give a peace for them to be more like focused in what they need to focus. So I really, as a parent, I know you guys are working hard in that, but I wanna see final result. I wanna see this getting ending, for the best of the teacher, for the best of the kid, because this is important. This is very important to finalize this and make them working and get what they deserve. I don't know everything, all the information, unfortunately, as a parent, but I've been coming here and I really wanna see that they get what they deserve, please. And if Dr. Cirillo could answer me about the referendum, because this is something that is really worrying me, because I see that we are talking about going to use some of those room from here and there, and it's getting, I know, more duplex, more houses is built, and we have unfortunately the same school. And it's unfair for the student who is in there, and it's unfair for the teacher to have 36, 39 kids in one class. It's very, very unfair. And I know it's not, your fault, Cirilo, but we need to find a solution for that. And I know you tried hard in the past. Maybe now we do it again and see what happens.
Respond?
Yeah.
So clearly, referendums are something that the whole community needs to accept, be behind, and want. I applaud you for speaking on behalf of it. I would like nothing more than to take all of our efforts from the past to continue those conversations and move forward. I also know we're living in times where financial concerns exist for everyone. So we have to balance the two. And ultimately, any referendum has to make sense for all community residents. So the benefit would again have to include that of seniors and not just our students, because they will be voting on something. So I think a committee should be created to look at this. I think I can tell you wholeheartedly, we have applications sitting in Trenton as we speak on submissions for additions, hopefully with grant money that does not cost taxpayers exorbitant numbers. But yes, I would be more than happy to say, let's do a referendum. What I don't want to do is put all the energy into a referendum and not have the right people supporting it. I think that's critical. So I will speak to our board president, I will speak to the vice president, and I'm hopeful that we can create a committee. Referendums can go out, I believe, 6 times a year. We just saw one last week in some districts. The good news is, the last time it was a very, very large number. And a lot of those items, slowly but surely, have been chipped away. Fortunately, we've received money from the federal government. Unfortunately, it was at a cost of many lives. COVID money. It doesn't happen all the time. But that money went to repair many of our infrastructure needs, HVAC related. Obviously, that's no longer needed in a future referendum. But I'd be more than happy to talk more about this with the board.
I know we cannot go back and forth, but if we continue like that, our house is gonna lose value. Because if I come around to buy a house in this town, and I see the quality of the school, I will not buy a house here. So, let's put it that way, our house is losing value, because
I don't wanna play
the
ping pong
condition-
either, I'm gonna lose. I know I'm gonna lose, but I'm gonna tell you, your house is not losing value.
Well, if they see the way of the school are here.
With the
people who have
constraints,
school are not gonna come, if
Never
the student is
honestly-
gonna be like in a good condition.
I don't
to be
disagree
here,
with you.
so-
I'm not gonna argue, I'm not gonna disagree with you. Are there schools that are in better shape? Absolutely. And how do we fix it? We have to invest a lot of money. We have to make sure everyone is on board. I'm not opposed to it, but many people might be. So let's make sure that first we identify the most important projects. We're trying to do that slowly but surely. It's easier to get a whole lot of money and fix it all at one time. But that's a major impact already in troubling times for people. So, again, I will give you my word, we will follow up on this.
I
How many
also
years?
think
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
population statistics in this town also play a part in how this is all going. Because we have an older retired population that is not as, invested in the schools. So there is a little bit of that going on in town too. We have to acknowledge that and somehow figure out a way to convince the senior population that it is important to better our schools. Or
So the
not
way
better
is,
our schools,
so the way is to
invest-
encourage more senior programs in our buildings, to have recreation centers available for our students, also for our seniors after hours. That's not something that's new, it's not like this light bulb that went off, it happens in other places, it's not that hard, but it's a very expensive undertaking.
But how many years ago, I remember last referendum what didn't pass? It was like six
7
years?
years ago, maybe, we
7?
could double check, probably 7, now it's
Yeah.
more than
And-
5.
At that time, I felt really disappointed just because at the time I was not a board member, just a parents and residents. But I felt that school needed to approach to the community more by working and cooperating with municipal governments and politicians as well.
They
And
were involved,
They are, right?
they were.
Yeah, but I think that there has to be more time need to be spent and more consensus has to be on this before we reach out to the residents and community. Because they are pretty strong in their opinion regarding the tax money rates.
I believe it was
So-
in 2017, so we're talking about 7 years ago. Hey, I'll go.
So now if we think about it, then I hope we can really work closely and more thoroughly working with the municipal governing body. There's Councilman Seok Min here, so you are here, so I hope you could deliver our meeting, this conversation regarding referendums to your mayor council as well. Thank you. Any other audience participation? Mr. Longo?
Yes, Peter Longo, 60 Central Boulevard. I'm just again concerned, because I'm speaking more as now a grandfather of a student who attends the school here. And I'm concerned that when I was a teacher as well, for many years, we went through the same thing where we never had our contract. I went through it many times, and it was very frustrating as a teacher. Our school's morale was low, and I really don't want to see that continue here. Teachers do more than people think. Everybody says, oh, they have the summer off. They go home and they grade papers and they work during the summer, and they don't make the greatest salary, okay? And now it's even worse because years ago, at least when I retired, my benefits are excellent. These teachers do not get that. So I empathize with them because I know how much money they spend on their own to decorate classrooms, especially I think in the elementary and the early childhood center. Even though I did that in the high school too, I used to get my own money, but I know elementary school teachers really spend a lot of time. And it concerns me because I feel like if the morale is low, even though they're trying their best, it affects the children. And I don't think there's a need for that. I want them to get what they deserve financially, and I want it to get done. I don't want this to drag on like it's been doing. I went through this many times. That's number one. Number two, my grandson is going to the preschool. So far, I'm very pleased with what I see. I'm happy, with the class size, with the teachers, with the aides. I think he's getting a lot of good help. What concerns me, though, I hear that some people were not able to enter in, I think, the 4-year-old class. And what concerns me is that they were supposed to have room for them, and now they're in the process of, I think they're doing something at Lindbergh, I'm not sure, maybe, And I would like to know, why did that happen? I thought that it should have happened before, so in September, everything would have been prepared. And I'm concerned next year when my grandson is 4 years old, what will happen then? I still think all the preschool should be in this building. I would think it would be more beneficial for the teachers as well as the program. But you have, I think, 2 classes, are down at
Commercial.
Where is it? Commercial Avenue, which is not quite a distance, but it is a distance. And then you have, I think, 2 are going to be at Lindbergh. Then I hear a rumor about something underneath the library. I heard that at the board meeting, the Barrel Hall meeting. So it concerns me for next year, even though it's a year away. I think we have to be concerned of what is going to happen for next year. I'm curious about that.
So I could speak to the new Christian Academy, though, something that is strongly encouraged by the state. In order to receive the preschool money,
I
They want you to partner with local providers. The idea is not for us to put them out of business.
Right, right.
So we're partnering with them. Those are children from Palisades Park. Those are students that live in this community that would have been paying tuition to that location. Now they're technically receiving the same type of instruction our students are receiving. Peter, you know this all too well, being a public educator. There's just no room to put them here. So it's either I continue to defer them and put them on a wait list, or we become creative and we say, hey, we have this empty space at Lindbergh. What do we do with it? Locker rooms are not being used. So fortunately, the board approved a recommendation to convert the 2 locker rooms into classrooms.
But are
What-
there windows in there?
There will be windows.
Okay.
Would I like anything more than to have everyone in one place? Of course, of course. But in a perfect world, Palisades Park is not existent just yet. So the reality is, the rumor you heard, yeah, that's one of the applications in Trenton.
Yeah.
The fingers are crossed that we can create 6 to 8 classrooms under the parking lot. It's easy for me to just go out and say to the community, hey, we need about $7 million, you guys pay. I think they might appreciate it a little bit more if we can get subsidized upwards of 60%, and you only have to come up with the difference. Again, I don't live here, it doesn't affect my taxes, but I think it's a easier pill to swallow when you don't have to pay for the whole thing.
Yes, Ms. Naomi?
Naomi Rivera, Glen Avenue. What is the estimate, like, when do we expect Lindbergh to be done? Only
So
because
it's a great question.
we need a playground there also, you can't have.
Part of the project.
4-year-olds
It's
without
part
a
of the
playground.
project. In order to have classroom, I'm sorry, finish your question.
No, well, that's it, you can't have 4-year-olds without a playground.
You're
So
not
I
allowed to have a
previously-
preschool program
Right,
without a
without-
playground.
Yeah.
So
I've
part of,
seen-
we're killing 2 birds with 1 stone by putting classrooms there. Because the preschool money is going to pay for a playground. Because it's
Which
not just for preschool, why can't 1st and 2nd graders play on a playground? They will, they can, but I can't put it there until I have classrooms. The timeline is something, and he'll tell you. I know people get paid by the hour, we don't, okay? Architects, they're not here tonight, so I'll say what I want. I'm just waiting, and then it's the contractors, and I want weekly meetings, and I wish it was done yesterday. Unfortunately, those areas had asbestos, there had to be an abatement. I can't just put kids in rooms that we know we have problems in. So we have to make sure they're safe. They had to be ensured that their air quality was safe, that there are no concerns going forward to put children in those rooms. That building is the oldest in our district. With that being said, I know publicly, and he'll assure you of this, they want to tell me it's December 1st. I'm allowed to say December 1st. I told them it should have been done already. I told them November 1st is what I'm shooting for. Is it gonna happen? I don't know. I know demolition happened, but there was also some change orders along the way, because when you knock down a wall on a 100-year-old building, you don't know what's behind it. And that's what we're dealing with as we speak. But I will go on record and tell you, you will see substantial work in the coming weeks. And the goal is, my goal is still November 1st. I don't know if that's realistic as we are approaching October in a couple of days.
I just wanna add something, is it okay?
Yeah, sure. What'd you have for dinner?
Okay. What concerns me too, and I just thought of it as you were saying demolition is happening. If you recall, years ago, we had the elevator put in our school,
At the high school?
at the high school, and with all that work, many of us, even though we were told we were lying, I was one of the people that had problems because of all the dust and whatever was going on. And we had, a lawsuit, and, fortunately we won, but the point was, it affected our health at the time. We had rashes, we had breathing problems, etc. Are they taking some precautions for the teachers at Lindbergh so that doesn't happen? I know they're kind of isolated.
So that's one of the good things, and I appreciate you bringing it up. It's somewhat secluded from our academic or instructional space, but there are some classrooms on the ground level.
Yeah.
Kids may be passing by
Yeah.
they do pass by to go to the cafeteria, so let's call it what it is. The reality is air quality testing is part of this project throughout. So it's not like we're just going to wait till someone has a rash and then say, stop work. We wanna make sure we are being very precautionary in this.
Cause many of us had, I mean, I had pneumonia twice because of it, and, you know, and, there were other situations, one person had to leave, you know, employment here because of that. So I'm just concerned that that could happen again with the teachers there, especially, you know, it doesn't matter who they are, and kids get it too.
100%.
So-
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other audience like to speak? If not, may I have a motion to close the audience session and we are moving into the executive session. And you could remain until our executive session ends, but we don't know how long it's going to take.
No formal action will be taken when we return. If you'd like to get a head start on the weekend, oh no, it's only Thursday, Wednesday? You could tell, it might be the weekend for me. It might be the weekend for me. Have Peter keep on coming to meetings, look what happens.
Maybe I'll start coming more.
You should, Pete. How'd you know? And Friday.
We got motion.
We need a motion.
May I have a motion to close our meeting?
No, no.
Adjourn-
Close audience.
close, I did actually, did I?
We don't have a motion.
May I have a motion to, close our public participation and then moving into the, executive session?
I have a motion to close the audience.
Any second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No objection?
By the way, the vote was in 2019, not 2020.